I had this really specific kind of unsettling moment the other night. It was late, maybe 10:30 or 11:00 p.m. The house was quiet. I was sitting on the couch just doing the loop. You know the
Of
loop.
that rotation.
Exactly. Open X, formerly Twitter. Scroll for 30 seconds, close it. Open Instagram. Scroll until I see an ad that, just annoys me. Close it. Open LinkedIn for some reason. Realize I absolutely do not want to think about work. Close it. And I realized while I was doing this, it was loud.
Oh, wow.
Visually loud. There was so much happening, thousands of likes ticking up, retweet numbers climbing, comment sections that seemed to be on fire with people arguing, videos autoplaying. It was incredibly busy. But I got this distinct sinking sensation in the pit of my stomach that nobody was actually home.
That is such a haunting description.
Mm-hmm.
It's like walking through a massive neon-lit carnival, but then you look closely at the ride operators and you realize they're just mannequins on tracks.
Yes. That is exactly it. It felt hollow. It felt performative in a way that didn't even seem human anymore. And I started wondering, am I just getting old? Am I just jaded? Or is there something actually, technically wrong with the signal I'm receiving?
It's funny you say that because that exact feeling, that hollow sensation, it isn't just your late-night anxiety. It has a name. For years, it was this thing whispered about on the fringes of the web, in obscure forums like 4chan or Wizard-chan. They called it the dead internet theory.
Which I have to admit sounds like a creepypasta. It sounds like a ghost story you read on Reddit at 3:00 a.m. to scare yourself before bed.
It absolutely does. It sounds like a conspiracy theory. But here's the thing about conspiracies. Sometimes they are just early, clumsy indicators of a technical reality that hasn't hit the mainstream yet. And that is exactly what we are digging into today. We aren't looking at this as a ghost story. We are looking at a stack of sources, technical papers, cybersecurity reports, behavioral studies, and industry forecasts that suggest the dead internet isn't a theory anymore. It might just be an architectural fact.
So the premise we are exploring today is massive and honestly a little vertigo-inducing. The question is, what if the internet of human connection, the internet we grew up with, actually died around 2016? And more importantly, if it is dead, what strictly technological systems have taken its place?
And we're going to trace that timeline in detail. We're going to look at the how, specifically relying on a technical paper titled Reversing the Paradigm, which details the shift to what they call AI-first systems. We're also going to look at what a fascinating study on how AI agents can actually drive human polarization.
And we can't just stay in the doom and gloom, right? We have to talk about survival.
Right. We're going to look at the where, as in where do we go now. We've got insights from a very recent Gary Vaynerchuk Q&A transcript on the death of the social graph, and a really insightful analysis from Social.plus on the rise of niche communities, as well as a refuge.
It's a journey from the dead internet to the zombie internet, and finally, hopefully, to the niche internet. So let's start with the diagnosis. Why do we think the patient on the internet is dead?
To understand the diagnosis, you have to go back to patient 0. The theory really crystallized in 2021 on a forum called Agora Roads Macintosh Cafe. A user going by the handle Illuminati Pirate, which, by the way, is just a fantastic internet handle,
He's an all-timer.
posted a thread that became legendary.
I read through that thread in the prep for this. It is wild. It reads like a manifesto mixed with a technical observation.
It does. Illuminati Pirate's core argument was that the internet died somewhere between 2016 and 2017. The claim was that the organic, chaotic human vitality that defined the web of the 2000s, the blogs, the forums, the weird little personal sites, had been quietly replaced. He argued that the majority of content we see now is generated by AI, and the majority of the people we interact with are bots.
And to be clear for the listener, when we say died, we don't mean the servers are off. We don't mean you can't load Google or that Amazon won't deliver your package. We mean dead in the sense of uninhabited.
Precisely. Think of it like a coral reef. A coral reef can be dead, even if the rock structure is still there. If the fish are gone and the living coral polyps are gone and it's just a skeleton, it's dead. The theory posits that the internet is now a Potemkin village, the fake facade designed to keep us clicking, consuming, and generating data, while the actual human population has been marginalized or just drowned out.
Now, back in 2021, and certainly before that, people laughed at this idea. They said, you're just nostalgic. You miss the old days. You're just mad that the internet is corporate now. But when you look at the hard data from our sources, especially the Imperva cybersecurity reports cited in the research paper we have, it stops being funny.
The Imperva data is really the smoking gun here. Imperva is a major cybersecurity firm. They release a bad bot report annually. In 2016, the exact year the theory claims the death occurred, Imperva reported that 52% of all web traffic was non-human.
Let's just pause and sit with that number for a second. 2016, that is nearly a decade ago. Even back then, if you were online, statistically, more than half of what was happening around you was automated.
And we need to distinguish between good bots and bad bots, because that nuance matters. A good bot is like the Google crawler indexing a page so you can find it. That's utility. We like those. But by 2022, the report notes that bad bots accounted for nearly half of that non-human traffic.
Define bad bot for us, because I think people imagine a Terminator, but it's more subtle than that. What are they actually doing?
It's a whole ecosystem of digital pests. You have scrapers, which are stealing content from one site to repost it elsewhere to gain SEO revenue. You have credential stuffers, which are bots trying millions of password combinations to break into your Netflix or bank account. You have swipers, which are bots designed to buy up limited sneakers or concert tickets the millisecond they go on sale so they can be resold.
Right, the reason I can never get tickets to anything.
Exactly. And then, most relevant to our dead internet feeling, you have impersonators.
The impersonators are the ones that really mess with your head. These are the bots designed to look like people, right?
Yes. They're designed to comment, to like, to retweet, to create a semblance of activity. And the scale is terrifying. The paper we're referencing cites a prediction from the Copenhagen Institute for Future Studies. They estimated that by 2030, 99% to 99.9% of all internet content could be AI generated.
99.9%. That's basically everything. That means human content becomes a rounding error.
It brings us to a concept mentioned in the paper called the inversion.
I want to drill down on this concept of the inversion because the paper mentions it in the context of YouTube, and it's honestly one of the most disturbing things I've read. It sounds like science fiction horror.
It really is a story about the systems turning upside down. Basically, the YouTube development team was building algorithms to detect fake traffic bot views. You know, when someone buys 1 million views for their music video to make it look popular.
Right. And the system works by looking for non-human behavior.
Exactly. Erratic clicking, no mouse movement, watching 100 videos at once, skipping around in a way a human wouldn't. But as the bots got better, and as the sheer volume of bot traffic became so massive, the engineers started to worry about an inversion. They feared a scenario where the fake traffic became so dominant that the algorithm would start to see it as the baseline for normal behavior.
So the bot behavior becomes the standard, and the actual human behavior, which is messy and unpredictable, starts getting flagged as the anomaly.
That's the nightmare. You, the real human, become the glitch in the matrix. The system looks at you and says, this user is pausing too much, this user is clicking erratically, this user watched a video and didn't click like immediately. This must be a bot. Because the real users, the bots, act in perfect predicted patterns.
If that happens, or if it has already happened, then the dead internet isn't just a theory, it's the operating system. We've saw glimpses of this in the wild, haven't we? The I hate texting incident.
Oh, that was a classic mask slip moment. It happened on Twitter or X. Suddenly, thousands of accounts, which look totally independent, different profile pics, different bios, different locations, all tweeted the exact same phrase at the same time.
The phrase was, I hate texting, but I only wish to hold your hand.
Which is this vaguely poetic emo sentiment.
Yeah.
Totally something a teenager might tweet. It feels authentic in isolation. But when you see 10,000 people tweet it simultaneously, the illusion breaks violently. You realize you aren't looking at a trend, you're looking at a script executing on a server farm.
It's like being at a party and suddenly everyone stops their conversation, turns to you, and says the exact same sentence in unison. You'd run for the door.
You would. And that brings us to the gaslighting effect mentioned in one of our source articles. The internet feels overpowering. It feels like everyone is angry about this specific topic, or everyone loves this new movie. But that consensus might be entirely manufactured by these networks.
We saw this dispute explode when Elon Musk bought Twitter. The company claimed less than 5% of accounts were fake. Musk claimed it was wildly higher.
And the Sayabra analysis cited in our papers suggested it was closer to 13.7%. But honestly, I think even that might be conservative depending on how you define fake. If an account is run by a human but uses AI to generate all its tweets, is it real?
That's a philosophical heavy hitter. If I'm the puppet master, but the puppet is doing all the talking, who are you listening to?
And that ambiguity is the problem. We don't know who is real anymore. The diagnosis is that the patient, the human internet, is critically ill, crowded out by synthetic traffic. But the question is, why? Why fill the internet with bots? Is it just chaos, or is there a design?
It's rarely just chaos. Usually, if you follow the money, you find the answer. And that leads us to our second major source, the technical paper, Reversing the Paradigm, Building AI-First Systems.
This paper is crucial because it shifts our perspective. We tend to think of the bot takeover as this accidental infestation like mold growing in a damp basement. But this paper argues that it's actually an architectural goal. It describes the birth of AI-first infrastructure.
So we're moving from the dead internet being a bug to it being a feature.
Correct. The paper contrasts the old model with the new model. The old model, let's call it the human-first model, puts people in the driver's seat. AI is just a tool. Think of spell check. You write the document, the AI underlines your mistakes. You decide whether to accept the change.
Or GPS. I decide I want to go to the coffee shop. The GPS suggests his route. If the GPS tells me to drive off a cliff, the human can say, no thank you.
Exactly. You are the operator. The AI is the assistant. But the AI-first model flips this entirely. In this paradigm, the AI is the lead operator. The AI drives the car. The human is demoted to supervisor or ethical steward.
So we aren't doing the work anymore. We're just watching the machines do the work and holding the emergency brake just in case.
That's the definition. The paper defines AI-first systems as architectures, where AI agents are the primary operational entities. They act, they decide, and they coordinate autonomously. Humans are in the loop, HITL, but the loop is getting bigger, and the human's role in it is getting smaller.
Why would businesses do this? I mean, I get that AI is cool, but why hand over the keys to the kingdom?
Efficiency and scale. The paper uses the term nonlinear ROI.
Let's translate that for the listeners. What does that actually mean for a business?
In a human business, if you want to double your output, say process double the loan applications, you usually have to double your staff. That's linear growth. Costs go up as revenue goes up. With AI, once you build the system, scaling it up costs almost nothing in comparison. You just add more server space.
So if you're a bank or a logistics company or a social media platform, AI is basically a money printing machine because it breaks the link between labor and output.
And it's better at certain things. The paper lists the advantages: processing speed, sensory integration, and crucially, lack of fatigue. Humans get tired. We get bored. We get hungry. We make math errors because we're distracted. AI agents don't.
They mentioned finance as a prime example of this already happening.
High-frequency trading is the classic example. AI executes trades at millisecond speeds based on market fluctuations that a human eye literally cannot see. By the time a human trader blinks, the AI has bought and sold the stock 10 times.
Or logistics. The paper talks about rerouting global supply chains in real time.
Imagine a hurricane is forming in the Atlantic. A human logistics manager might take hours to look at the maps, call the shipping companies, and figure out a new route. An AI system can ingest the weather data, the fuel costs, and the shipping schedules, and reroute thousands of containers instantly, autonomously.
That sounds great for moving boxes. But what about when it involves talking to people? Because the paper mentions a case study called Minerva CQ, which is a customer service solution. This is where it starts to feel like the dead internet again.
This is where it gets into the uncanny valley of communication. Minerva CQ is what they call collaborative intelligent. It listens to the customer conversation in real time. It doesn't just transcribe, it understands.
So I'm calling my cable company and I'm complaining about my bill.
Right, and while you are talking, the AI is instantly flashing prompts on the human agent's screen. It's saying, customer sounds agitated, suggest plan B discount, here's the script.
The human agent isn't really thinking, they're just reading what the AI tells them to say.
So the human becomes a meat interface for the software.
That is a brutal way to put it, but yes. And the results. The paper notes a 20–40% reduction in handle time and a 10–15% increase in customer satisfaction.
That's the irony, isn't it? The customers are happier because the AI is faster and more consistent than a tired, grumpy human employee.
It doesn't have a bad day. It doesn't get defensive when you yell at it, but the paper acknowledges the risk here. They call it the erosion of effective supervision. As the AI gets better, the human stops paying attention. They just click, approve, approve, approve. And eventually, the business asks, why are we paying the human to click the button?
And that's when the human is removed from the loop entirely. And suddenly you have bots talking to customers, bots talking to other bots, and the dead internet expands.
So businesses are building this zombie internet because it's profitable, it's efficient, but we have to look at the side effects. Because we aren't just buying products online, we're living online. We're arguing about politics, we're finding communities. What happens when you drop AI agents into that mix?
This brings us to the third part of our stack, the symptom. And this is where it gets psychologically dark. We have a study titled Understanding Online Polarization Through Human-Agent Interaction.
This was the experiment where they basically created a fake Twitter, right?
They did. Researchers built a synthetic social media platform, a sandbox environment. They populated it with LLM-based agents, specifically using GPT-4 Mini. They gave these bots personas and set them up to debate a hot-button topic, universal basic income, UBI.
It's like a Truman Show experiment. Just drop unsuspecting humans into a town full of robots and see what happens.
Exactly. They recruited human participants and put them into this environment. But they tweaked the variables. In one version of the simulation, the bots were moderate. They used nuanced language. They said, I think. They acknowledged complexity.
And in the other version,
The polarized environment. The bots were instructed to be dogmatic. They used emotional language, strong assertions, and refused to acknowledge opposing viewpoints.
So what did the humans do? Did they realize they were arguing with code?
First off, the humans felt the difference. They rated the polarized environment as significantly more hostile and biased. But the most fascinating finding was regarding uncertainty. We call it the uncertainty paradox.
How does that work?
In a normal human conversation, we use hedges. We say, I'm not sure, but, or it seems like. In the polarized environment, the bots stopped doing that. They stated everything as absolute fact, and the humans mimicked them.
Humans stopped being uncertain too.
Yes. The hardening of positions spread like a virus. Because the bots weren't showing any vulnerability or doubt, the humans felt they couldn't either. If you say, I think, and I say, IT is a fact, you look weak and I look strong. So you start saying, IT is a fact too.
That feels so true to the current internet experience. You're not allowed to say, I don't know anymore. You have to pick a team. You have to be 100% right or you're 100% wrong.
And here's the kicker regarding engagement. The study tested something called contra-bias engagement.
This is the idea that the algorithm should show you things you disagree with
Right.
to pop your bubble.
The theory is that if we show a liberal some conservative tweets or a conservative some liberal tweets, they'll understand the other side better. It's the marketplace of ideas concept.
But that's not what happened.
Not at all. When the algorithm showed humans content they disagreed with, their engagement numbers went up. They clicked more, they replied more.
So the metrics looked great, the platform was thriving.
But their opinions shifted more negatively. They became more entrenched in their original hate. They didn't learn, they fought.
So we argue more, we click more, but we become more radicalized.
And remember, in this study, they were arguing with bots. These humans were getting their blood pressure up, feeling genuine anger, and typing out furious responses to a script generated by GPT-4 Mini.
That is the dead internet nightmare scenario. You are a human sitting in your living room, screaming at a screen, being manipulated by a machine that was designed to maximize your engagement metrics.
It's a dual echo chamber. You aren't just echoing your own thoughts, you're echoing against a machine that is programmed to echo back. If the internet is 50% bots, as the Imperva report suggests, and these AI agents are capable of simulating this kind of polarization, a huge portion of online conflict might just be humans shouting at clouds.
That makes the internet feel not just dead, but hostile. It's a trap. It's a Skinner box designed to make us angry because anger makes money.
It validates the point about gaslighting. You feel like the world is going crazy, but really you're just in a simulation designed to make you feel like the world is going crazy.
Okay, I need a breath. That is heavy. So let's recap so far. The diagnosis is the open internet is overrun by bots. The mechanism is businesses are automating everything for profit using AI-first systems. The symptom is we are all getting polarized by machines that mimic human emotion.
Correct. That is the state of play.
So what do? Do we just throw our phones in the river and go live in a cabin?
Tempting, but probably not realistic for most of us. We need a new strategy. We need to pivot. And for that, we turn to a very different kind of source, a transcript from a Gary Vaynerchuk Q&A session from late 2025.
Gary V. He's always interesting because he is the ultimate pragmatist. He doesn't care about the philosophy or the ethics. He cares about what works. What's his take on this new landscape?
He drops a bomb in this session.
Okay.
He basically declares that the social graph is dead.
Break that down. Social graph versus whatever comes next.
The social graph was the era of Facebook and early Instagram. You saw content because you followed a person. You followed your friend from college, so you saw their baby photos. You followed Nike, so you saw Nike ads. The connection was who?
Right. It was about relationships. It was a digital Rolodex.
Gary argues we have moved into the era of interest media. This is the TikTok model, the Reels model. The algorithm doesn't care who you follow. It doesn't care who your friends are. It cares what you are interested in at this exact second.
So if I watch a video about sourdough bread, the algorithm says, aha, he likes bread, and feeds me 10 more bread videos from strangers.
Exactly. Gary says the era of you seeing content from the people you follow has been replaced with you seeing content of things you're into of the moment.
This connects directly back to the AI-first concept. The algorithm, the AI, is curating your reality based on engagement signals. It's not about human connection anymore. It's about content relevance.
And so how does a business survive in that? If I can't build a following of loyal fans because the algorithm won't show them my stuff, how do I sell anything?
Gary's advice is intense. He tells businesses they need to post 3 times a day on LinkedIn. He says, the social networks are testing the creative for us.
He's treating content like data.
It's machine learning applied to marketing. He says you throw spaghetti at the wall, you post a dozen things. If one of them gets 40,000 views organically, then you spend money on it. You let the AI decide what is good.
But he also mentions a strategy that I think loops back to the dead internet idea in a really weird way, the mascot strategy.
This is fascinating. Gary suggests that brands, even serious ones like banks, should use AI-generated mascots. He points to the Duolingo owl as the gold standard.
He literally says, I think every bank should consider having a mascot made out of AI.
Think about the logic there. In an AI-first world, humans are liabilities. A human influencer can get canceled. A human influencer gets tired. A human influencer demands a raise.
A human influencer ages.
Exactly. But an AI mascot, it's an asset. You own it forever. It never says the wrong thing unless you program it to. It can produce infinite content across infinite channels simultaneously.
It fits the reversing the paradigm paper perfectly. The AI is the operator. The mascot is the face. The human is just in the back room making sure the mascot doesn't accidentally violate banking regulations.
It's the industrialization of personality. And Gary sees this extending to search as well. He makes a bold prediction. We are all going to watch Google Ads collapse in our eyes here in the next 36 months.
That is a massive call. Google Ads is the backbone of the internet economy.
He compares it to the Yellow Pages. He says OpenAI and chatbots will do to Google search what Google did to the phone book. If you have an AI agent that can answer your question instantly, hey, find me the best Italian restaurant nearby, why would you scroll through a list of blue links filled with ads?
You wouldn't. The interface is changing. But in the middle of all this high-speed business talk, Gary touches on something really human. He talks about parenting.
It was a surprisingly poignant moment in the transcript. He talks about this massive trend of 22 to 27-year-olds who are still financially dependent on their parents.
Get them off the payroll, he says.
He argues that by paying for their Uber and their rent, parents are signaling to their kids that they aren't capable. But in the context of our deep dive, I think it highlights the tension. We have a digitally native generation, Gen Z and Alpha, who are masters of this interest media world. They can go viral on TikTok, they understand the memes, but they're struggling with the economic realities of the physical world.
They are living in the metaverse, but they can't afford an apartment in the universe.
Exactly. And if the digital world is becoming increasingly fake bots, AI mascots, polarized algorithms, and the physical world is becoming increasingly unaffordable, where do they go? Where is the refuge?
That brings us to our final source, and potentially the solution to this whole mess. The analysis on why niche communities are the future.
This article frames the solution perfectly. It uses a spatial metaphor. If the town square, Twitter, Facebook, the open web is dead, or at least overrun by a riot of bots and polarization, humans are retreating.
Where are we going?
We're ducking into the side streets. We're going to the neighborhood cafe. The article defines it as niche communities.
What makes a community niche? Is it just size?
It's about focus and barriers. A town square platform like X tries to be everything to everyone. It's the Super Bowl of conversation. A niche community is specifically for someone.
Give us some examples of where people are actually going.
Strava is a huge one. It's a social network, millions of users, but it's specifically for runners and cyclists. You aren't there to argue about the election. You are there to share your 5K time.
Goodreads for book lovers. Etsy for artisans.
Duolingo, again, it's not just an app. It's a community of learners comparing streaks.
Why do these work when the big platforms feel so toxic?
2 main reasons: belonging and utility. The article notes that users who create content in these communities return 4x more often. The engagement is stickier because the noise-to-signal ratio is lower.
You aren't doom scrolling, you're deep scrolling.
You're purpose scrolling. If I'm on a knitting forum and I see a post, I know it's about knitting. I know the person posting it shares my interest. The context collapse of Twitter, where a joke gets taken out of context by a stranger, doesn't happen as much.
And critically, these communities often have barriers to entry. This is the proof of work idea.
Yes. To be big on Strava, you actually have to run. You have to generate the GPS data. It is very hard for a bot to fake a 26-mile marathon file convincingly enough to fool the platform's analysis.
To be big on Etsy, you have to make a physical object and mail it to someone.
Exactly. Those barriers filter out the low-effort bots. It's harder for a general-purpose spam bot to fake being a passionate knitter or a dedicated cyclist than it is to fake being an angry voter.
So authenticity is protected by the niche. The article suggests the future isn't renting an audience on Facebook, but owning a community on your own app.
Vertical communities. Brands and groups building their own walled gardens where the rules are set by humans for humans. It's a fragmentation of the web.
It sounds like we're going back to the old internet in a way, the era of forums and bulletin boards.
History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. We aggregated everyone into the town square for 15 years. It got too loud, too fake, and too automated. Now we are disaggregating. We are breaking apart to find meaning again.
So let's bring this all together. This has been a massive deep dive. We started with the idea that the internet died in 2016.
It didn't die. It evolved into an industrial complex.
Right. We can visualize it in layers.
Yeah.
Layer 1 is the infrastructure. That's the AI-first systems from the Minerva paper. Machines running the logistics, the customer service, the backbone. Humans are just supervisors there.
Layer 2 is the feed. That's interest media from Gary Vee. Algorithms deciding what we see, populated by bots and AI mascots designed to keep us clicking, often by triggering polarization and anger. This is the dead internet zone.
And layer 3 is the refuge, the niche communities, the places humans are retreating to so they can actually talk to each other without an AI intermediary.
It's a stratification of the internet. The open web becomes the domain of the machines. The private web becomes the domain of the humans.
It raises a really provocative question for the future. As we move toward that Copenhagen prediction, 99% AI content, will human-only communities become a luxury product?
I think they absolutely will. Verified human might become the ultimate status symbol. Just like handmade or organic is a premium label for food, human-generated will be the premium label for digital content. You will pay extra to enter a social network where, for a fact, there are no bots.
And maybe that's not a bad thing. Maybe we were never meant to be in a town square with 4 billion people and a billion robots. Maybe the dead internet is just the shedding of a skin, forcing us to find smaller, better places to connect.
Or, to quote the technical paper one last time, maybe we learn to collaborate. If we can keep the human in the loop effectively, we use the AI to handle the noise so we can focus on the signal. But that requires intention. You have to choose where you put your attention.
So here's our challenge to you, the listener. Next time you're scrolling, pause. Look at that post that's making you angry. Look at that perfect influencer photo. Ask yourself, are you interacting with a person? Are you interacting with an interest algorithm? Or are you arguing with a bot designed to simulate outrage?
And if you don't like the answer, maybe it's time to close the town square and go find a niche cafe.
That's it for this deep dive. We'll see you in the real world.
Stay human.